The liberal world order didn't just collapse overnight. It died slowly, and almost no one noticed. Global conflicts, trade wars, sanctions, coups, they're not all glitches. They're part of a new logic of power that's asserting itself right now. Hi, I'm Johannes Kornberger, and welcome to Mackinder Insights. In this video, we're going to unpack what really happened to the so-called liberal world order and what's taken its place and who's in charge. Because it's not as simple as American decline or China's rise. Something much deeper is shaping the way power works today, and by the end of this video, you'll see the global system in a very different light. Let's be clear on what we mean when we say liberal world order. After 1945 and the end of the Second World War, the United States built a system to prevent another world war. It combined military alliances like NATO, economic institutions like the World Bank, the IMF, and importantly, a global trading system backed by American sea power and the US dollar. It wasn't just about free markets or democracy or human rights. It was about creating predictability. That system worked, not because every country bought into liberal values, but because American power enforced the rules. And they enforced those rules to America's advantage. The order didn't collapse all at once, however. It was decaying and is still decaying slowly. You can trace this back to early cracks like 9/11, when US interventionism exposed the limits of exporting democracy overseas. Then came the 2008 financial crisis, which shattered a lot of trust in the Western economic model. By 2014, Russia had annexed Crimea. By 2016, Brexit happened and Donald Trump was elected, and that made it very clear that even liberal democracies were losing faith in the system they built. Then COVID accelerated this fracture, and by 2022, with Ukraine and now Gaza, Sudan, and Iran boiling over, the old assumptions simply don't apply anymore. But here's the thing. Even though the liberal order is gone, the world hasn't collapsed into total disorder. That's because power structures have inertia. The United States remains the center of global security, and that matters more than ideology. US naval power still secures global trade routes. US bases still underpin deterrence from East Asia to Eastern Europe. And when push comes to shove in Iran, for example, or the Red Sea, it's still the US that acts decisively. What's new, however, is how messy the system has become. We're now in a layered global order. American power remains central, but it's surrounded by regional players, carving out their own spheres of influence. China in the South China Sea, Iran across the Levant, Russia in its post-Soviet space like in Ukraine and Central Asia, Turkey in the Caucasus and in North Africa. At the same time, non-state actors like the Wagner mercenaries in Ukraine or the Houthi rebels out in the Middle East are filling the cracks. This isn't clean bipolarity like the Cold War. It's a hybrid system, one foot in unipolarity, the other in chaos. Here's the core insight. Decline doesn't mean disappearance. US power hasn't just evaporated. It's just no longer unquestioned anymore. It coexists with chaos and sometimes even thrives in it. Washington is still power broker-in-chief for major peace deals around the world. It's still the only actor capable of global force projection. And while great power competitors like China are rising, they're doing so within the very system the US created, not outside of it. China's economic power may soon rival the United States, but again, that's thanks to the very system of international trade the US supported and still supports, even if it looks more transactional under President Trump. That's not necessarily a collapse. That's evolution under a lot of pressure. Understanding this transition is key. We're not watching a global order end. We're watching it mutate, shaped by the same underlying logic of anarchy, balance of power, and threat perception that's always governed international politics. And that's why realism matters. Because under the rhetoric of multipolarity, most states still behave the same way. They hedge, they balance, they seek advantage, and they fear abandonment more than anything else. The future won't be orderly, but it won't be leaderless either. Power hasn't vanished. It's just been redistributed, challenged, and disguised. Thanks for watching. If you're interested in more of these deep dives, subscribe for more, and let me know what you think in the comments. See you next time.